What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. Happy Friday, happy hour to you. Here live on Mixer. Gonna be doing a little bit of work today, so check it out. How's everybody in the chat doing? What's up, Horatio? Ooh, it's a tall drink. Spilled a little bit already. We're off to a good start here on Mixer. All right. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on building out a Meetup clone using Fauna and GraphQL, which is a project I've been wanting to sort of work on for a little bit now. Only familiar with GraphQL in so much as what I've done in Gatsby, and I now work at Fauna as a front-end developer. So I wanted to learn more about using Fauna, any of the pain points that there might be, and sort of like gather my own feedback that I can take back to the team in terms of like the developer experience. Of course, if any of you in the chat have used Fauna, please let me know. And always interested to get feedback and report to the team. So, so today you see my little stream checklist. Today, I'm gonna set up some goals before we start here because I want to make sure that we have sort of a set plan before we start building. So the first thing I'm gonna do is we'll probably want to create a new GitHub repo to house this. And we're also going to be doing that locally, so we'll have to set up a folder here on our local machine. And I'll be doing that with Create React App for now. So we'll set that up locally and link the two. And then I already have a Fauna database account set up, so we're good as far as that goes. But I did want to start looking at GraphQL stuff and maybe type out some rough schemas. Hey Chris, how you doing? Welcome. What's up, Ryan? Happy Friday to y'all. So yeah, I'm just right now I'm just going through sort of making a list of things that maybe we'll try to achieve today in the stream over the next hour and a half. So I'm thinking we're going to look at some GraphQL and maybe type out some schemas or types, I guess they would be called. And so for now, some things that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to have organizations, we're going to want to have events, we're going to want to have users. And for right now, I think that's like a good place to start. And then as we go, we'll add to that. And then, yeah, let's start with this for now and then see how far we get. So the first thing I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to go to GitHub and create a new repo. I'm also going to do one here. So I'm going to move into my code directory. This is where I do all my work. And for all you in the chat, please let me know if you're seeing or hearing any issues in terms of the stream. Always looking to improve them. Always looking to improve the stream, I should say. So please, feedback is welcome. Okay, so here what we're going to do is we're going to make a new directory. And we're going to call this just Meetup clone for now. I don't have a better name. So we'll do a Meetup clone, and we'll do a git init here. Make sure that this is a git repo. Cool. So now we're on a master branch. There's nothing in here, of course, as you might imagine. So we'll do the classic touch readme. And then I'm just going to open this in Vim real quick. And this is going to be Meetup clone. We're going to be built. And so far, these are the three things that I'm planning on using: Fauna, GraphQL, and React. However, I've considered throwing some other new tools in here to give myself a learning opportunity. However, I'm going to start this way before we get crazy. I don't want to add too many variables, but thanks for the follow, Seven. Appreciate it. Like I was saying, so for example, at work, we just switched over to TypeScript. So what I'm going to do is actually probably add some TypeScript to this later. Hey, Joseph. I hope I said that right. All right, here we go. So I'll go to my personal account. Here we go. Super fun already. I will be doing this off the screen. Sorry, in case you were trying to steal my auth key. Cool. Yeah, and for me, locally, the audio is like skipping, and I'm not sure if that's a question with my headphones or what's going on, but if it's skipping for you, let me know, and I'll definitely try to iron that out for the next stream. So yeah, cool. Like I said, we're going to add a new repo here, and we're going to call it Meetup Clone. And I'll just copy this. Oh, now my mouse is bugging out too. Really having a good time already. Yeah. Okay, so we gotta right quit, get out of Vim, write the file. Cool. So I'm just gonna add that, do initial commit. Cool. And then I'm actually gonna take that README, just gonna open in VS Code now. I'm not a Vim user. So I'm just going to take this and make this the description. It's going to be public. License. I'll do MIT for now. I need to actually educate myself a little bit more on those licenses. Thanks, Seven. And the git ignore. Let's just do the standard. Or I'll do none now, and I'll create one locally, actually. Cool. So now we have this, and essentially I need to set this to my upstream so that I can link my local repository with this GitHub repository. So we'll do this, we'll do git remote origin. So I have no remotes right now, and what we want to do is we want to add one. So we're going to do git remote add origin, and then, okay, cool. Yeah. Git remote v. Cool. So now we should have a link between these two things. And I'm just going to go ahead and try this. Hey, what's up, Zigzag? How's it going? Is that you, Tyler? What's up, Dan? Aha. Yep. Always happens this way, doesn't it? Git push origin master u, something like that. Gonna pull. Yeah. Great. Off to a great start. Yeah, that's the one, Chris. Yeah. I knew I did it wrong. Thank you. Aha. See, I have some, it's this license file I created is now causing a problem here. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Origin master. Refusing to merge unrelated histories. Great. Off to a real good start on a Friday. Mouse is bugging out. Audio's bugging out. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. When having a problem, just delete everything. God. Thing is, I bought this new mouse because my old Logitech MX Master was acting up, and now here we are with the new one acting up. It's very exciting. Yeah, Chris, definitely not. Especially at the beginning of a project. I'm not a Git ninja for sure. I'm just gonna do this again. We're gonna call it Meetup Clone. We're not gonna put anything in it. We're just gonna make it public. And then here we go. So we already did this, we already added, so now we just need to push the master. Cool. Yeah, see, when you do it right, it works. Perfect. Awesome. So actually now that I'm thinking about it, I should be doing create React app, which I haven't done in a long time. I haven't set up a new project in a long time. This should be fun. So let's look at the docs. Let's look at the docs. Yeah, there you go, Horatio. Yep. So I already made a mistake again. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna remove RF that Meetup clone. what I should have done is I should have generated this application to begin with create React app. I'm going to call it Meetup clone. Yeah, I was in a rush to get all my stream stuff set up, and boy, did it go well. Cool. All right. We'll do it live. That's right. Yeah, it's always live. It's a good thing that we don't have to live stream our technical challenges when we interview. Cool. Yep. Here we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do that same thing that we just did, but we're actually going to do it for this app. So I'm going to get rid of this again. This time, I promise. Third time's a charm. Always fun to see someone not do things right on a Friday afternoon. And that's why I drink during this stream every time. Yeah, thanks, Mick. We work it out eventually, right? Cool. Do this the third time. So I'm just gonna. So let's see what we have here. So we have all this stuff, all the React app stuff. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, that would be amazing. Hey, check out my live stream from last week. It was really exciting. Please hire me. Cool. So here's our README that was generated with the Create React app. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm just going to call this Meetup clone. We're going to say that this was built with Fauna DB. Shout out to Fauna DB. GraphQL. Shout out to Demetrius Clark, the biggest GraphQL fan in the world. And Create React app. If I can spell. Hey. AMD. Wow. Cool. So now we should actually have a diff here. Yep, we do. And I'm going to add this. I'm going to commit it. Update README. Yeah, Chris, I don't know. Who's taller, you or Dom? I don't know. Dan, I know you're in here. You're a tall guy too, so I'm under 6 feet. My NBA career never started, so unfortunately. Cool. All right, so now we need to do this one last time and get it right. Cool. We have a remote now, and now we can push this. So now when we push this, our README file will be up to date with this little description that I added here, just a placeholder. We will be updating that as we go. So let me get rid of this. Cool. Meetup clone. Cool, it worked. All right, we're set up. So in terms of creating a new React app or GitHub repo, done. We did it. Took 3 tries, but we're done. As Robert Tables would say, just do it. And we just did it. We also created this locally, so we're good to go. I'm just gonna spin this up, but probably should first install my node modules. So I'll just run yarn. Oh, already did it when I did the Create React app. All right, so let's just yarn start, make sure this boots up. Also, I'm not sure if y'all in the chat noticed, but I did some work setting up some Streamlabs stuff lately. So if you give me a follow or any of that stuff, you should see a cool party corgi float across the screen. Also have the chat overlay now, and I have some chat commands in case you want to see what I'm working on, find out where my website is, all that fun stuff. Cool. All right, so let's get out of here, Create React app, because I don't care. And then now we're just going to go right into the app. So this is what we're seeing right here, this little spinning SVG. And I'm going to get rid of all this. I don't like any of this. I'm just kidding. It looks really nice. Sorry, Create React app team. It does actually look really nice. So Don't listen to me. All right, so I'm gonna blow this all away. Just gonna, right now, we're just gonna go straight up H1 and Meetup clone. And I should, if anybody has a clever name for Meetup clone, let me know. I'm happy to use them. This isn't a real product, so it'll just be for fun. You know, we could call this Wiggle Central for all those party corgis out there, sending out the Wiggle. Cool. And I'm not going to be doing too much styling on tonight's stream, but we will get into this in the future. It's actually something I plan on writing about. I used theme, UI, and emotion on my personal blog. Even though they both do styling, I'm using them for very different reasons, and hopefully we can incorporate that here too, what I learned working on my Gatsby site. So that should be fun. And then here, as you can see, this Create React app, what a beautiful world we live in. I'm already getting warnings about linting. Tofu up, Dan, that's not bad. That is not bad. Wiggle Central. Too bad we don't have a party corgi. We don't have a party corgi emoji, but you know what we do have? We have a party corgi GIF. We have a party corgi GIF, everybody. Courtesy of Chris Biscardi. Thank you, Chris, for sharing. So this is definitely going on the homepage. I'm done with this not being there already. So source, I'm gonna add a file. I'm gonna add, or a folder. I'm sorry. I'm gonna add assets. This is where I'm gonna keep my images. And that's not right. That's a file. Cool. Let's do that. And actually, I know there's actually a cool feature here that I'll show you this real quick because this is cool stuff. I always forget about it, but I think I saw this in a GIF from Wes Boss, so you can't learn from anybody better, right? So what if I do assets, images? Nope. Oh man, I thought that's what he did. Never mind, I'm wasting time now. Not worth it. New folder, images. That was right. All right, it's just because I have nothing else in there, right? Yeah, if I put another directory in here, I think. Styles. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Yeah, it stacks it. I think that's what Eclipse does in Java world, and that threw me for a loop the first time I used it. So, needless to say, I do not plan on using Eclipse ever again, unless Dan, you want to make me write Java because I was bad that week. All right. Okay. So now you can see my folder structure here, and what am I doing? Yeah, Meetup clone. Okay, go in here, and let's just copy and paste party corgi GIF. Oh man, my mouse really whacked out. I've been using it for about 2 weeks, so I have a feeling what's going on is it's probably running out of batteries. So we should probably give it a charge. And that's not how that's supposed to work. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Let's do it. Even though this has nothing to do with really what we were planning on doing today, if you can't add a party corgi, what is the point? So our source, we're in the app, so we would need to go into assets. So that would be yeah. I definitely need to import it. You're right. Oh, I got you. Yeah. It's been a long time. Party corgi. Party corgi. Source equals party corgi. Equals party corgi. Can't resolve party corgi. Ah, Did I not go up a level? No, it should be in here, no? I hate relative paths. Hate them. Let's see if this works. Nope. Why would it? Yeah, so I'm in source. So it should be this. Should be this folder, assets. Ah, images. Yes. I still see as Wrinkle Dan. Cool. Image elements must have an alt. Yes, absolutely, for our accessibility friends, for our friends with some sort of vision impairment. We want to make sure that the internet is still awesome for them. So party, corgi, GIF. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Again, sorry about the mouse skipping. This is really, not exciting. I'll just start doing this like a pro. Cool, so I'm gonna open a new terminal window. I'm gonna go into my Meetup clone repository. We now have a updated app with a GIF. I'm gonna add this. Corgify. The homepage. Cool. It's Corgified. Again, if you are watching and you're new to development, you probably want to be using feature branches as you work. And once I start adding features, we will be doing that. And we'll go through things properly. We'll go through them the way you would do them if you were working on a team. I'm just getting all this set up. So today we were not too worried about it. Ooh, Party Pub. Party Pub. I like that, Horatio. That sounds nice. Also, y'all be excited to know that I've gotten in touch with a friend of mine who is a very talented designer who is going to be doing some illustrations for the stream. Going to do some illustrations a la Suze Hinton stream, standby screen, secret screen, that type of stuff. It's going to look really good. He's super talented, and then he's also going to be helping me with a logo for the stream, and potentially even helping me with doing some overlays and stuff in the future, a la Learn with Jason. So get ready for this to look a lot better. I may not be a lot smarter, but the stream is going to look that much better, so feel free. All right, so what I should have said before I did this was I just logged into Fauna. So this is the Fauna DB console. This is where you can control a lot of stuff that's going on in your databases. You can view your databases. You can view your collections and documents. You can run queries. You can execute GraphQL in the playground. A lot of cool stuff in here. We're gonna go through it as we build. But one of the things I wanted to do first before we start building anything is I just want to start getting a sense of what some of these GraphQL types are going to look like. And luckily here in the Fauna playground, what you can do is you can type out a GraphQL schema and then you can upload it. And then that will sort of generate what types of documents are going to be stored in that database. That's like not super technical, that description, but essentially that's what's going to happen. So just to show this off a little bit, I'm gonna run through the GraphQL tutorial that we have built into our app. And this should give you an idea of what we're gonna do. And then maybe we'll create a couple schemas for these types, create a couple databases to store them, and then see where we are in the next 30 minutes or so. So, all right, let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do, so we wanna go back and create a new database. This is just part of the tutorial. So I'll click a new database. We're not going to pre-populate it. We're just going to call it my test DB. We're not going to use this. We're just doing this for demonstration purposes. You should now see an overview page with your new DB. That's this right here, my new DB. It has nothing in it. It's still beautiful. My friend Nate May is a big fan of databases, loves them. I don't know if they even need to have anything in them. I think he just likes them. So, click the GraphQL in the left tab, cool. And so this is why I wanted to run through this. This is the important piece here. What we have, yeah, Dan, it does look great. I mean, you and Bruno did a great job. Just 2 people building this. Amazing, amazing. Code is really well structured, easy to read. I mean, it's been nice. It's been a nice experience for me. Cool. So what I did is I just downloaded this GraphQL file, and we're just going to open this right away in. We'll just open in VS Code. Always open with VS Code. Bah, whatever. Open it anyway. We don't care. Yeah, the marketplace does have stuff. Let's search the marketplace. Oh boy. This is one of those cases where, hate to say it, but I just go based on which one has the most downloads, so let's do it. Cool, so this is what this is going to do for us is this is now going to give us some nice highlighting in our GQL files, our GraphQL files. Boom, look at that, looks beautiful. And so now it'll format and give us this syntax styling and whatnot based on the file type down here, GraphQL. So that's cool. So if we just look through here real quick, there's another tutorial you can walk through in Fauna that is non-GraphQL. It's like sort of a basic CRUD app, and it has similar types. Like essentially, there's warehouses and products and customers and orders, and you can like populate that data into your database if you want. All you have to do is create a new database and then click this pre-populate right here, and it will generate these types. And I'll actually just show you that right now. So this is my basic CRUD, and again, we're not going to use this, but this is just so you can see what's happening. Cool. So yeah, we just did that and we pre-populated this data. And as you can see, we have what are called collections. I guess you could sort of consider that. So each database can have their own child databases, and then each database has collections in them, and each collection has documents. So documents are essentially like the records in sort of like classic database speak. In terms of the analogy for collections, I sort of think of them as tables, but if you talk to some of our database engineers, they probably have a much better explanation for you because they're database engineers. I'm just someone that likes to write JavaScript. So yeah, this is just to show you that like these customers, orders, products, and storehouses that we have generated here, these GraphQL files that we have are actually going to allow us to create these just by uploading the file right away. So here, I'll go back to my console home. I'll go back to my Meetup clone, back to GraphQL, and we're going to import this e-commerce schema. And cool, now we're met with this graphical playground, which if you haven't used GraphQL or graphical or GraphQL playground, I think it's graphical ships with Gatsby, and it's just like really great. It allows you to write queries and see what the results would be. And it also has like great schema documentation here. So this might look familiar to you if you were just looking at that file with me. Let's go back to it. So for example, we have type address with a street, a city, a state, and a zip code. Let's see. We have an address here with a street. Yep, right here. So we have an address type that has a street, city, state, and zip code. So all of these were essentially generated by this file, which is really cool. And then if we wanted to, let's see. Like I said, part of the reason I'm doing this, I'm not super good with GraphQL. So let's do all orders. Let's see what that returns to us. Null. Oh, that's because I'm not doing it right. Cool. Oh yeah, Dan, that is a good point. Yeah, so Dan, my fabulous manager, thanks for joining, Dan, is saying that's, when you import the schema definitions, it actually auto-generates the CRUD handlers for you, which makes it like really nice and easy for you to do everything. You don't have to like, there's not a ton of boilerplate or anything like that. Sort of just like import it and ready to go. Let's see. So I haven't done any queries because I don't know GraphQL yet. So we have all warehouses, all products, all customers, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So this is just to show you that like this is what's going on. But actually, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in to the Meetup clone. I'm actually going to delete this and then just start a new one. Yeah, that's it. Cool. All right, so I'm just going to call it Meetup clone GQL just so we know that's GraphQL. Cool. All right, so now let's switch over to looking at some GraphQL documentation, and maybe we can figure out how some of these schemas work together, and then we can sort of construct one or two and upload them through the GraphQL playground or through the GraphQL view in Fauna, and then that will sort of set up some of the things that we're going to be doing in the future. All right, get started. Aha. Ooh. Thanks, eSquared. Oh no. I actually just, oh no. Oh no. I accidentally just crossed out someone's message in chat. I didn't even know you could do that. Okay. This is... Get out of here. Okay, that's super annoying. All right, so we have nothing in here. Server libraries, nah, that's not what we want. We want to learn. Yeah, thank you. What is this? It won't let me copy. Oh boy, oh boy. Hey, thanks, Seven. Appreciate it. Oh, this mouse is really driving me crazy. Sorry, everybody. Okay. So GraphQL is a query language for your API and server-side runtime. Not tied to any sort of specific database. That's sort of, I think, part of why a lot of people like it. Pretty flexible. So yeah, we have, this is sort of like the very basic typing. And what this is essentially, so we have a query that has a field of me with the value user, which is actually another type, and it's this type right here. So the value of me will be an object that has an ID and a string, if I'm reading this correctly. Cool. Yeah, and then this is how you would run the query. Awesome. All right. Ooh, thanks, Dan. Ooh, the links worked, unlike in Twitch. Yeah, +1 for Mixer, I guess. All right, so let's do this. So we don't have that econ. So what I'm going to do here is, and there's probably a better way to structure this, but I guess we can call this types. Let's create a folder just schemas. We'll leave that for now. We may need to update it later. And so I want to do a couple of them. I want to do an organization. Should probably be lowercase. I want to do a user, of course, GQL. And of course, with users and stuff, at some point we're going to have to talk about authentication. I saw a really good talk from James Q. Quick. He's one of the advocates over at Auth0. He was part of the React Adelphia event we held last week. So I'm definitely going to be reaching out to him about authentication stuff. We have, again, an event. So if we sort of start with an organization, and I'm just going to type these out here, just as sort of like to see if I'm sort of on the right page. So these are about doing queries, but I want to go back and learn a little bit more about types first. So queries, schemas and types. Most basic components of GraphQL schemas are object types, which we represent the kind of object you can fetch from your service. Cool. Character has a name that's a string, and an episode appears in, it's an array. And I believe these bang symbols here mean that it's required. If anybody is a GQL expert in the, non-nullable. Yep, that was close. Okay, cool. So what we'll do here is we'll call this, okay, it is required. Yeah, that's what I thought. It says non-nullable here, but essentially that means that it must have a value, right? And it must be present. You can't default it to nothing. So let's do type organization. Cool. And so in an organization is going to have a couple things. And so I'm just going to jot these down, and then we'll figure out how bad the syntax is. So essentially we're going to have an organizer. And this will be a string, right? Then we're also going to have, I would imagine, events, which should be an array of events, which I think I would need to import this to use that, but right now I'm just going to leave it. I think this can be nullable because you could have a new organization that has no. Oh, is it? Okay, sorry, Horatio. Thank you. Yeah, I just updated my, I sort of updated my scene because I'm trying to crop my desktop so I have some stuff off camera that I can refer to. Is that better? Let me know if it's not. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the tip, though. Yeah, I'm getting better each time, I think. So we haven't, I'm going to do this alphabetically. We have events, organization, I'm sorry. It should be organizer, which actually should probably be one of the users. And that's got to be non-nullable, I think. I think you have to have a user, be the organizer, you have to have an events, and then I think we would also potentially want a list of members, which would also be user. And that could be nullable too, I think, for now. String is one of the built-in scalar types. These are types to resolve a single scalar object. Okay, so we'll talk about this in a little bit. Cool. So non-nullable, yeah, and what we've done here is we've made, I think, the appropriate ones non-nullable. Hey, Vic, I think if you do, I think it's working or project, bash or bang project. I know you can do this, and that should list out the commands too. Cool. Let's see, yeah, Streamlabs. Okay, cool. Look at that. It's like I'm a pro. So episode represents an array. Since it's non-nullable, yeah, so basically here what they're doing is they're saying that not only is the array not nullable, but that items inside the array. So for me, events like the events array is not nullable, but the event, all the items in it should be not nullable. And I think that's the same with members. Like every item in there needs to have a value, whereas the array itself does not need to have a value. It could be an empty object, but that's a question I have. So let me write down some notes here. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing some Notion this time around. This is how I work in my day-to-day, so I figured I'd bring it into the stream. So questions for next time. Yeah, okay, Chris, that's exactly what I was gonna write down. Like if I have an array and I want there to always be an array, I guess it could be non-nullable because an empty array would not be null. Am I on the right track there? Yeah, cool, okay. All right, so that looks decent for now. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pull up the event below it just because they're small enough that we can see them together. And if anybody has trouble seeing my my code, just let me know. I need to dial in my like Zoom settings, but hopefully that's a little bit more visible for you. And then here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a, cool, thanks Dan. So here we're gonna have an event type. And this is gonna have a couple things. So we're gonna want location. So the event should be associated with an organization, I believe. So that'll be an organization, and that's not nullable. And I think it should just be a one organization. I guess like in the future we could update this and then make it so that an event can belong to many organizations, as in say 2 different meetups wanted to hold a joint event. Maybe you could do something like that. Yeah, exactly. So title, description, or yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking like location, that would probably be a string. Yeah, title, that'd be a string. And then we'd have, yeah, description. So that'd be non-nullable. So we have an organization, just get alphabetize. So description, a location, or an organization, and a title. I think we also need a date and a time. Date. And I gotta look up these scalar types. Maybe there is a date, if my guess is right. Let's see. Scalar types. Cool. Int, float, string, Boolean, ID. An ID represents a unique identifier. Serialized in the same way. Okay. For most GraphQL service implementations, there's a way to specify custom scalar types. Aha. Yeah, Horatio, it looks like what we would need to do here then is define our own type called date and then define what that means. Okay, so that's going to be something, I'm going to put that in here right now as a comment. So it should be like scalar date, do that. And then for now, we'll just say this is a string, but that will change. So cool. So that looks good, date. Oh yeah, and then we need time. So this should be, I think this would also be a date depending on how we define it, or we could say, hey, straight up, we need a time. So I'll do that right now because I have a feeling we're gonna be using a couple of these things. Time. Here, let's go. Let's look more at the scalar types. Scalar types. This is where we just were. Ooh, the Fauna DB API does not support custom scale. Ah, very interesting. Good thing I didn't run into that yet. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, so I guess for right now, we'll just make these strings. And then I'll figure that out later. So string, cool. So I guess basically we're working with these types here. So let's look at scalar types. Just write this down because I'm gonna need to refer to this. Also, every time I do something like this, it's a potential blog post. So yeah, Dan, I mean, I don't know enough to say whether or not there are. I'm sure there's a reason why, but yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I would think date and time would be pretty standard, especially in terms of database records. I would think that's a pretty common field. You're thinking email for the event, well, or for the organization, Horatio. Let's do this. Look at this. Look at this. If all our files could be, if component files were this small, we'd be golden. I wouldn't even need like a 640 monitor. We'd be set. Okay, so this is going to be. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see a lot of those things being standards. Yeah, Chris, I don't know. Like, I'm still learning the product myself. This is, like I said, part of why I'm doing this. So these are things that I'm definitely going to take notes on. And then, like, I'll talk to the smarter people at Fauna at work and ask them why things are the way they are. And they'll probably tell me that there's a reason. But I would imagine they want to, like, make this as easy as possible. So they're super accepting of feedback. And it seems like they really take everybody's, they want the dev experience to be as good as possible. And so this is partially me, like, with little knowledge running through and then seeing what I run into. So questions for the team. Maybe. All right. So we got user. So user should have a list of organizations, I think, because that, you know, a user is going to belong to organizations. Also, this is the GraphQL stuff is using tabs, not spaces. Exciting. Organizations. So this would be an array, non-nullable of organization. Cool. Yeah, and I thought, Chris, I know some databases, like, depending on how you index the records, you can use, like, the insertion date or created by date or up by date. It just, like, it gets that value in the record gets updated every time something is manipulated or one of the fields is manipulated. So I think there would be something like that, but so user, and then we got first name. Is that the convention here, Horatio, to do like this camel case here, or are we doing more like that type of thing? That's like Python-esque. I can't imagine that's it. So first name will be a string, not nullable. Last name, string, not nullable. And then we can do email. I think that's great. String. That's got to be not nullable too. We're probably going to use email for auth. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I'm a JS dev. I'm coming from JS world, so to me, the camel case makes sense. You know, if there's another convention, and you know, anybody in the chat, let me know. I'm happy to move towards the proper convention. So first name, last name, email, organizations, and then I mean, we could do. And this is a question I have too, in terms of assets, but I guess those wouldn't be stored here. Okay, first name, last name, email, organizations, yada, yada, yada. What else do we want to have a user? Oh, you know what? Yeah, that would be, see, that I would think we would have like one of these created at time. Yeah, we definitely need an ID for all of this. So I think those are ID types, right? That's what this says here in the scalar types. ID is a scalar type representing a unique identifier. Refetch an object as a cache key. Ooh, Dan. Thank you, sir. Oh. Yeah, this was exactly what I was going to ask, Dan. I was going to say, if GraphQL itself doesn't have the scalar types, date and time they must be FQL timestamps. So for anybody out there, Fauna we have what we call Fauna query language, FQL. That's something we'll be getting to as well. But like I said earlier, in this shell, you can sort of run queries against your databases that you can see in the overview. And you write FQL, and then you just run it right here, and the results come back here. Really cool, really easy to see what's going on in the database. And you can actually run it from our command line tool too. So we got plenty of ways for you to sort of browse your data. And I mean, there's even this little guy over here. I don't know. Yeah, the query metrics in the editor are going to be great. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Also, yeah, I don't know if we can talk too much about this, Dan, but I got a little Fauna sitting in my VS Code. Sneak preview for anybody on the stream who noticed that. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but maybe in the future we will. Cool. So we got an organization. All organizations have IDs. Makes sense. You can have a list of events and a list of users and an organizer. But maybe this is actually an array. I know at React Adelphia, we currently have multiple organizers, so wouldn't want to limit that to one person. Event, ID, date, description, location, organization, time, title, cool. And then we have here user, first name, last name, email, organizations. Yeah, Horatio, I would think that like it would auto-gen that, but because it's a scalar type, I'm not sure, so let's see. I wonder if there's some sort of globally unique IDs. One possible pattern is reserving a field like ID to be a global... Ah. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so it does work like what I'm used to. And like the most database experience I had in the past was with like a Postgres database, so you don't have to. So a user specified ID is not required. Okay, so we don't need this then because it'll do it itself. Cool. So those are the three things we have right now. So we've done these things. Since we have some time, let's cross these out. Yeah, Horatio, we're learning about it together, my friend. Learning about it together. All right, so we did all this. So next step. Oh, no, Shim, come on. Upload schemas. Cool. One thing that never is getting easy is text editors. Okay, let's see. So here's my Meetup Club collections. Let's see. Let's see if this works the way I think it does. If not, it's probably because I didn't read the documentation. So, but But you know how we like to do it on the stream. On the stream, we just like to do it. Robert Tables, just like to do it. Materialized schema does not pass validation. Unknown type. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Do I need to do, maybe I need to do this in one big file so that all the types are aware of each other, or I guess I need to import the types. I wonder if I could import event and user into this GQL. Chris, what do you mean by SDL? I'm not familiar with that acronym. Okay, is that you, Ewan? Who's SDL? What is SDL? Yeah, SDL. That's not, I think, what I'm looking for. Schema definition language? Ah, see, this is a whole new world to me. Databases, everything. All right. This is probably not what I need to do. Ah, okay, Chris. That. As you may know from having talked to me in the past, sometimes when I speak, my language is not as accurate technically as it could be. So. Okay, so now I have all these in here, so I think all I need to do is upload this one schema, according to Ewan. Thanks, Ewan. Unknown type organization. Did I spell something wrong? Let's see. Let's get rid of that. Let's see how I spelled organization. Did I spell it right? Nope. That might be why it doesn't work. User error. It's that old adage, for every computer error, there's two. The one the computer made and the one that the user made to cause the computer to make an error. Oh no. Cannot identify the relationship between user and organization or ambiguous relational fields. Oh no. Yeah, Horatio, yeah. Yes, Chris, word wrap this box. Ticket. This is a ticket. Tickets. We live in tickets. Thanks, Dan. I'm going to save everybody on the stream the pain of me trying to navigate a Jira board. It is not fun to watch me do it. I will say I find information more easily than I did in Clubhouse, but Clubhouse had a really, really cool search UI that when I was working on search in my last job for about a year, and some of the stuff they were doing in the Clubhouse components was just nuts. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Nah, I don't want to pocket it. I want to copy it. So then I can do this. Yeah, definitely need to wrap this. That's not good. All right. So cannot identify the relationship between user and organization. I wonder if this is the like relationships in terms of like many, that type of language that you use for databases. Organizations, organization. So we have to add the relation. Okay, GraphQL at relation. You know what else I could do? If I open the file we were looking at earlier, the demo file. Aha. Ooh, so it looks like, this is interesting to note too, that that we have collection annotations here. So Dan or Ewan, good question for you. GraphQL standard or Fauna? Thanks, Vic. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is cool though, because collection name, it's our warehouses type get mapped into that collection. So maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Probably. Okay, get out of here. I don't need this file. Out. Okay, at collection. Let's just see what happens. Because sometimes that works. And then we'll just copy this. Aha! Look at that. Ewan is a walking documentation. This is amazing. I need Dan and Ewan to... I'll just live stream as I work during the day. And both of you guys can tell me what I'm doing wrong. And it'd be pretty frequent. Yeah! Events. Cool. Hey, Chris, do you happen to know in terms of, oh, here we go. Oh, it looks like GraphQL at collection specifies the name of the Fauna database to use instead of the collection named after the GraphQL type. So that's like if I wanted to say organizations and call this like groups or something like that. Yeah. So that's the collection type. That's cool. That'll work. And then, so UN just was nice enough to send me this relation. Declares the current field has a bidirectional relationship with the target type. So, let's see. Posts, user posts, at relation name user post. Yeah. User documents are related to post documents and vice versa. So this name here defines the relationship and is useful if there's any ambiguity. The name must be unique. Okay. Oh, thank you, Chris. Look at this. Oh boy. Ooh. Types, scalars. Yes. Here we go. That's definitely going in the... Okay, so if I'm reading this right, let's do this. Let's get rid of this sidebar. It looks like we need to draw relationships between these things. So if I'm reading this right, we need to do an at relation. Cool. Give it a name because it's required. I'll figure that out in a second. I guess this would be organization events. And then down here, we would need to give it the same relationship. So that's two-way. So that this would go here. So we have an event. So it should be related now through this. These are strings, these are strings, these are users. So I guess, and maybe the way that we go about structuring these, I would imagine is something that has to do with sort of like your database design. So I'm calling them organization, users, for example, or members. Because to me, it's like the organization has members, and that's sort of the owning type. But, you know, if you have a user, the user belongs to, and this has. So I think this is how you would want to do it. Oh, sorry, Dan. Yeah, I need to start using my MacBook monitor so I can see a little preview of myself. Okay, so if organization members is members, so then I think it would be this. So the relationship between the organization and the user. And then this would be organizers. I don't know if this would necessarily need a relationship. Let's try it. Let's try uploading this. I think it's probably not going to work because I have one relationship undefined, but not quite sure how to define it. So instance data is not valid. Is it because I already have information in here? Yeah, okay. Let's see. And I think what happened is because I already put some stuff in here. Oh, maybe not. Thought I did. Yeah, we have no schemas, so it should be empty. So I want to update the schema. Oof. Yeah, we got here we go, Dan. So Dan, we have schema fetcher JS 281. Cool. Horatio, yeah, let's try that. Let's see if we can do that. Let's start with what if we start with this? Here, what I'll do is I'll make a scratch file. We'll undo that and we'll just take this out because I would imagine that the comments is not going to help. So I want to override this schema actually. Yeah, it's going to delete everything. I like that. What could go wrong? Unknown event type? Yeah, well that makes sense because I took it out, so. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna try this one more time. I'm gonna override it, because last time with the instance data thing, I think it was that instance data is not valid. Okay. Let's start with so I'm just going to do this because we know that these two yeah, Horatio, what this is saying is that the events in the list cannot be null values, and also that the list itself cannot be a null value. So that has to be at least an empty list, I believe. Then we have this relation here. Okay, so my big question here is like the relation between this organizer, who is a user, and users. Because this, I would think this would be something like this. Many to many. So they're just using the at relation just straight up. They're not even using this annotation we have here, the directive. I wonder if we even need to do that. So they have just relation. Wonder if that'll work. Yeah, so it says it's missing or ambiguous fields, and that's because I took away those relationships, so I think I need to bring them back. Thanks for the follow, Vic. I don't know if we got the follow alert or not. I didn't hear the sound. I hope it happened. What if we just do this? So we got events. Maybe I'll need to. So these have type relationships at the top as opposed to what we were just looking at here, where we have the inline relationships. Okay. Let's look at a simple example. See here, well, there's no relationship whatsoever. Just a organization can have a user. Oh, is this person doing the same thing? Oh, is it because maybe it has to do with the pluralization? So members is a user, not null. Events. Cool. All right, so let's try that. No relationship between organization and user. Yeah, that's definitely this right here. And so because an organization can have an organizer who's a user, maybe what I need to do here is add another field. I wonder if I can actually do something like this. Probably not. It's probably meant to be one-to-one or something like that. Yeah, it definitely doesn't like that. Line 4. Oh, yeah. So let's see. Is this it? Probably not. I don't think you can do multiple. I think it's supposed to be one. Let's look here. Do they have a nice little search bar or what? Nope. All right, let's see if this works. So now what I did was, before we had no real relationship between the organizer, which is a user type, against to the organization type. So I'm defining this relation, the organization organizer, and relating it to the user email. And I think that's essentially we're trying to say that like the link between this user, a user in this list of organizers is the email address. So let's see. Oof. Yeah, that's strange. Strange. Do I need... I wonder if I can do this. This is probably not valid because it's multiple. You probably don't want multiple relationships like this, but... Nope. Okay. Let's get rid of this stuff. Okay. So, what if we just take out this for now? Let's see what happens without this. Thanks for the follow, Dan. Appreciate it. I heard the little alert, so I would imagine you saw a nice party corgi overlay, hopefully. Let's yeah, I don't know what this means. Awesome. Yeah, party corgis come out in force. So it's telling me that the instance data is not valid. And that's something I don't understand. See, as far as I understand, updating the schema should generate the collections because of these collection directives. However, these relationship directives are giving me a little problem. So let's do a little Google search. So we got the playground here. It's fine. All right, yeah, let's try one of them. All right, let's just do one. So the easiest one I think would be this event. And it has an organization. However, the organization has all these relationships too. So maybe what I do is, I wonder if I could just do this. So the user should work for sure. So let's take this out of here. Put a new file. Let's take this out of here. Put a new file. Cool. All right, let's try this now. So now we just have one type called user. It should create a collection called users. And then we have first name, last name, email. So that should work. Cool. Hey. Look at that. We have users. Whoa. So for right now, what I'm going to do is this is the, in Fauna, you can actually create documents right here in this little text editor. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a fake user, Horatio. I'm sorry, Horatio, I don't know your last name, but based on your username, I'm going to guess it starts with an H, so hopefully that's the case. Herrera, yeah. All right, that's a strong name. I like that, double H. That's great. Do you have a middle name that starts with an H? Because then you'd be this guy from wrestling. Yeah. Cool. So, email. I'm gonna take a guess at this one. Horatio at partycorgi.net, maybe. Oh, no middle name. I have a middle name. Does it well, but I also not a strong man. So I'm gonna save this. Cool. We've now created a document in our users collection here, as you can see. And this is in FQL and Fauna. We have what are called references. So this is like a unique identifier. But now that we have this in here, before we couldn't do this. So, because we had no data. So I'm just going to run a simple query to confirm that we have a new collection. Awesome. Look at that. So basically, this is, like I said, FQL. We'll probably talk about this a lot more in future streams while we work on this. But essentially here what we're doing is we're running a query and saying, hey, we want to see a list of all of the collections in this database. And right now we only have one, and that's the users collection. And that's because we just created that. So now that we have that, we'll probably, let's try to get something else working. Let's try to get this organization working. So let's take this. Oh boy, this mouse, sorry. I've been loving it so much. I've been raving about it to all my friends, telling them how Apple mouses don't matter anymore, and here I am. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna uncomment this, and I will comment out the event because we don't have that type yet. However, we do have members, or we will have members and organizers because now we have this user relationship. So the organization has organization members, organization. So the relationship here is that oh no, that's, you know why? That's probably wrong. Yes, yeah, that's what. Okay, so what we need to do is I think we need to give this a name, probably. And I think this should be the name of the... I don't think we should do this, actually. So that's going to be a user. This is going to be a name. And the organization relation is going to be organization name. And I think that's what we want to do here is we want to draw a relationship between the organizations in this list and a value that comes from, not that. Name. So these are all strings. This is one relationship that's basically saying we have a list of organizations, and that the relationship between the organizations in this list and the type of organization is going to be based on the name. I think that's sort of like the equivalent of a foreign key, maybe? Maybe I'm using that language incorrectly, but that's sort of like my guess here. Again, I'm not a database guy, so in terms of building them, I use them. That's about it. All right, here we go. So same error. We can't identify the relationship between user and organization. So, yeah, this relationship for some reason is not, it's not happy about this. So I did see this elsewhere in my travels on the internet. Let's see if this does it. Probably not. Ah, I think it's one less. Relationships are between non-scalar types. Okay. String is a scalar. Yeah, so my question here, Ewan, is if I have organizations and I have a list of organizations, the relationship I thought would be that you would do organization would be related here, but it's not because you said it's a scalar. So I guess I need to give it like some sort of other type. Field specific, not type specific. Okay, so that means it must be here. It must be here. It can't be at the top with the type. Okay. So the collection directives go at the top, but the other relationships don't. So do I need an do I need a relationship here? Is that what's going on? Post and post to user and user. So here we have a user's posts and their user posts. It's related to the author. So yeah, this is a little confusing. I'm a little confused about GraphQL. Relations reference. Yeah, that was my thought here, Ewan, was that, you know, you would add a relationship here, but that, whatever you called that, would actually have to go here and here. Hey, ambiguous. Yes, very much. Yeah, Horatio. So the relation directive goes. Ewan was just saying it's based on the field type. They're field specific. They're not type specific. So I have seen in some documentation this. However, for Fauna's GraphQL API, it's done this way. So basically, I would need to name. What if we try this? Because if we can only relate it to one, maybe this will work, and maybe if we do this. Nope. invalid input, organizer remembers, expected ignored comment, or about, yeah, it's because I have these comments in here, I think. Also, because that's probably what it was. Because I think I've uploaded one with a comment in it. Cool, cool, cool. Hey, I think it's working. Let's see. Did I crash it? Maybe my bad GraphQL crashed it. Woo. Yeah, Dan, I don't know, man. It looks like, so I saw 200 here in the network, but now it's loading. Let's see what happens if I leave the page and come back. Okay. It actually blew away all of our collections and data. Oh, Ewan, okay, is that what it was? So let me try that again. So I'm going to try it one more time. And I think I borked it. Yeah, Dan, here we go. Cool. I think that did it. Look at that. Oh, hey, whoops. So organizations worked. Users worked. Organization members worked. Not really sure how that happened. In terms of, it must be related to this. How? That's interesting. I don't know enough about a lot of this, so. Okay, now let's try to get the last thing we'll do today, because I've been really struggling with this just because of my lack of knowledge. But that's what we're doing here. We're learning, right? So that's the fun part. So now I'm going to add this type back. I'm going to go here. And so what we have is events with an event. I think we want to do this. I think we want to draw a relationship between the event and the organization in their given types. Oh, Horatio, you're hosting me now. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's the first time that's happened. Woo! Look at me go. All right, let's try this one last thing. This override should populate the third collection, and it looks like we'll also be getting a collection called Organization Events. Not quite sure how that plays into everything right now, but I would imagine there's a reason that that's being generated. So let's see. So I believe Ewan said that there's a 60-second delay for an override, which is required because there's magic happening behind the scenes. The elves are at work. So I'm just going to update my notes. We got some tickets here. We got some questions for the team. Scalar types with the graph. We do support scalar types. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's a bad note. I think we just had a question about date and time, but it looks like that is supported. Look at us. We're lucky. Supported. We don't have to do it ourselves. So we're going to strike this through. We uploaded the schema. I think it's still working behind the scenes. So what we've learned today. Oh, instance data invalid. What did I do? Oh. Looks like it looks like if you try to override the schema at some point too early, bad things happen. All right. Again, like I said, it's because I'm me not knowing exactly what I'm doing is making it a lot easier for me to break stuff. And let's see what happened. Maybe it did come back. Nope, data gone. Master. Oh no. No, no, no. So I did something wrong here. So this stuff all worked. It's this that won't. The organization, the relationship, and every relationship to these events here. So this should be right, I would think. Let's update the schema. Let's override the schema. Since I've been polluting this database, I'm going to try and see maybe if I just create a new one. It's because I've been uploading schemas left and right. I also have some old databases that I'm just going to get rid of as well. I would, Dan, one thing I think we might want to add here too is, you know, I like in GitHub where you're going to go delete a repo and ask you to type the name just for security. Maybe that's something we want to do. Type collection name when deleting for confirmation. Prevent any accidental data deletion. Any fat fingers, don't want that happening. Okay, so let's do a new database, Meetup clone. And let's try this. Instance data is not valid. Yeah, so that looks like I'm doing something wrong here. I bet if I take this out, probably works. Relation, yeah. So we have an event, and we have an organization, and they're linked, they're non-nullable, and they have this relationship. What if I were to? I have a feeling it's something I'm doing incorrectly here. So I think I did something incorrectly. Not sure what I did. Huh. Do I have any collections? No, sure don't. So it looks like I'm doing something wrong, and I'm not sure what it is. So if anybody in the chat knows what I'm doing wrong, let me know. So master instance data is not valid. Let's Google that. Something different, Dan, in terms of a different file? Or do you mean just, I tried removing the organization here. I tried removing these two things with this the new relationship, and that didn't seem to fix it. Let's see, let me go back to the docs. Maybe there's something about, I know it said something about them having to be unique. I would think that they are. So let's go to the directives. Relation. No, I think that should work based on this. You know, you have user posts, user reviews, and They're unique names. These are unique names. Ah, we got Chris Biscardi streaming right now on Twitch. Ah, maybe I am running into a bug. I wonder, is it a bug in terms of me trying to upload schema too much? Because I have been trying to really go through this, and there's our website, by the way. We really got up pretty far. So I wonder if it might be something that I'm doing here. I wonder if the system's just trying to prevent me from writing too much to the schema. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna leave this as is for right now. We did more than we planned. We got some of the schemas uploading and working. We just have a question about like why we're not getting this second relationship to work. So what we'll do is I'll do a little bit more digging offline, and then when we come back next time, we'll start from this point and we'll continue on. So again, what we did today, we created the new repo. Yeah, Dan, I can commit the files and I'll push them up. So we created a new repo. We set up a React app with create React app. We started looking at some GraphQL. We actually typed out some schemas, which was nice. We have a little bit of an idea of what we're doing there in terms of things like this with the nullable and the scalar types. And we have this collection directive for Fauna to map out the collection. So this all looks pretty nice. I think it's pretty straightforward for the most part, except maybe the nullable stuff. And the relationship stuff I'm still a little confused about. And then we uploaded the schemas, and we learned that these are the scalar types here for GraphQL. I've come up with some notes for things that I'm going to look into at work. And besides that, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I appreciate it. Dan, Horatio, Ewan, Chris, everybody that's out there. Super appreciate it. And what I'm going to do is, like I said last time, I think this is going to be my standard stream time. So next Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, we'll be back for happy hour, or what I have been calling, or telling my wife I'm calling live at 5. Coming up with a name, coming up with the branding that's coming in the future. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. And hit me up on Twitter if you have any questions. I am Ryan C. Harris on Twitter. This is me right here. Ryan C. Harris. So if you have any questions, you can hit me up. Happy to answer, happy to chat, happy to talk about these things in depth. Besides that, hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Peace.